What is your most controversial opinion? That the drinking age and driving age should be swapped. Get the drinking out of the way early before you have added danger of getting behind the wheel. 16 to drink, 18 to drive. I think that's what they do in Germany. I'm in an open, 3-person relationship and it's awesome, wonderful, dreamlike and has been going for over 3 years. We live together and are planning on having kids in a year or two. When I tell people, I get treated like I'm dating a sickhead, so I have to keep the best thing about my life a secret most of the time. I do not understand how you all manage your emotions without having jealousy, but that's okay. I don't need to understand your relationship to know that you're happy. I think a majority of teenage pregnancies are a result of parental failure. I think a majority of teenage pregnancies result in parental failure. I hate the happy birthday song. That if we would have done nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, after 9/11, just written it off as an expense and simply rebuilt the Twin Towers in a mindless soulless enterprise, then we would be better off. I think the message that these aren't people, they are contractors, which is how the big shots really think about us, was broadcast to the terrorists. They would have realized there is no way to win, or even get revenge. Also, we'd be better off financially. When you think about it, it actually makes more sense fiscally to accept terrorism as a happenstance possibility, almost an insurance liability to add to an expense report, than to actively fight it. It can be completely ignored with little problem, but they'll get nukes, some people shout. I suppose there's a legitimate concern here, but I don't see it as very likely. Came here to say this. My most controversial opinion is that when you get past the lives lost and the material damage, 9/11 was no big deal. It wasn't worth 2 wars, and it was certainly a hugely missed opportunity to rally the world for peace. That there should be no government licensing of marriage. I think economic domestic partnerships should be something that you can register, but I think that anyone should be able to enter into such an arrangement. It should be set up so that the earner's adult in a household can register as an economic unit if they live together and run a household together. This could be a married couple or a mother and daughter, or 2 friends or a polygamous family or whatever. If you are a household, share income and residence, then you should be able to file taxes, sign leases, get credit cards, open bank accounts and go about the business of life the same way that married people are able to do now. I don't think that the government has any business legislating romance or family. I've always thought along similar lines, but I never actually thought about extending it to things like mother-daughter, friends, etc. I think that is a fantastic idea. It would actually open up so many more ways of living with family, and even extend to helping different cultural residents live more in line with how they like. I don't think you should respect someone just because they were born before you. Yes, yes, a million times yes. Similarly with titles, I don't think people should respect me by default because of a PhD. PhDs who insist on auto-respect drive me insane. Virtually everybody spends 5-10 years learning their career. Just because my learning was formalized and culminated in a piece of paper doesn't mean anyone owes me crap. We spend entirely too much money on special education. It makes 0 sense to spend the majority of the money on those least likely to contribute to society. +1 for actually posting something even remotely controversial. Old people, like over 65, should need to retake the driving test every year. I think everyone should have to retake the test every 2 to 5 years. Non-offending pedophiles should be pitied and helped, counseling, etc., not shunned and reviled. I've spoken with people from all over the country, and believe that saying everyone should vote probably isn't the best idea. I don't care about birthdays and feel obligated to care for others because that's the norm. Blood is not thicker than water. A true family is people you love and want to be around, not those people you have to see once a year for no other reason than you share some ancestor. Besides, we all share ancestors. Forced organ donation after death. Opt out, not opt in. Pets are animals and shouldn't be subjected to insane surgeries and recoveries as much as they are when they are already old. Also, kids need to be ignored sometimes so they can learn to be creative on their own. The developed world should leave Africa the frick alone. All of the donations, food, clothing, money etc., stifle any attempt at creating a workable economy. I support nuclear energy. I don't support natural gas. I don't see how this is controversial. I think tips should be earned for good service and not mandatory to make up for crap wages. Nice try, Mr. Pink. Kids need to lose. They need to fail. They need to get hurt. And they need to learn how to handle it on their own. An inflated self-esteem is just as dangerous, if not more so, than a low self-esteem. When a kid gets the idea into his or her head that they're amazing at everything, they tend to do two things: quit working so hard at getting better, and respond with anger and excuses to failure rather than critical thought and reasonable response. Getting hurt is an important thing to learn about. Learning the difference between what's going to give you a serious injury and what's going to just make you a little uncomfortable for a while makes you less likely to get serious injuries. Kids that get hurt a lot when they're young grow up to be practically invincible because they learn how to do what they want to do without getting injured. Also, being too hygienic is dangerous. Your kids need to get filthy, they need to get sick, and they need to do it often. The more of that type of damage they go through while young, the better off they will be when they're older. That the majority of people, myself included, are a lot closer to being sociopaths than we would like to believe. Obviously all of our actions are self-centered, but I see the majority of altruism as an innate instinct to be more accepted into society as a whole. Perhaps to make more. I think faced with the choice of going to prison for life or murdering an innocent, most people would take the latter, and the bulk who say they wouldn't still would if someone else would kill the innocent person for them. I believe the guilt someone feels after wronging someone else is probably more related to perceived consequences to themselves than a legitimate concern for the feelings of others. My central point is this: so many people consider themselves good people, but I believe that if they were placed in more extreme situations, their morals would change. Males can have platonic friendships with females. This is not a popular opinion on Ask Reddit. Not everyone who smelled it, dealt it. Hennepin farted. Race matters. I'm Black Asian, and have identified primarily with middle-class whites throughout my life, late 20s now. I can tell that people treat me differently in subtle ways, and I suspect that it's due to my race. A lot of people might agree that race does matter, but I think it's probably to a larger degree than they, or even I, suspect. People don't go to prison for punishment but are imprisoned as punishment. I believe the state must guarantee a prisoner's safety while incarcerated and is liable for any injuries that occur at the hands of other inmates. Fat people should not have handicap parking privileges. I honestly believe that the average Reddit user has a superiority complex, feels entitled to respect and praise for nothing, and severely overestimates their own intelligence. As a community, Reddit is often incredibly biased and often no more enlightened than the groups that it likes to make fun of. When writing web apps, unit testing is a waste of time 99% of the time. This test failed. Guess I'm going to have to rewrite the test. Gödel's incompleteness theorem applies to all axiomatic systems, not just those of sufficient complexity. Rebel. As a student of philosophy, my studies have led me to believe and support the notion that democracy is a really bad idea. It undermines the concept of expertise in a field, weights invalid and informed opinions equally, and, as Plato said, is an indulgence of unnecessary appetites. Don't get me wrong, democracy does a lot of good. I just think it's inherently stupid, and that we can do better. We can do better. I'm really curious what your solution is. Democracy is a terrible system, but the best one we have, Churchill, if I recall correctly. I'm not racist, but I'm sick of most of the college scholarships and extra governmental benefits require you to be of a minority. Just like they didn't choose to be black or Hispanic or whatever. I didn't choose to be white. When I pick up a scholarship application form and can only apply for 1/15 because the rest require me to be of a specific ethnicity, but there are no for whites only because it would be considered racist, I feel discriminated against. I've always wondered why all governmental benefits aren't based on your income bracket. The point of affirmative action is to allow poor families, which are mostly minorities, to still give their kids a decent education. We should be helping poor families because they are poor, not because they're a certain race. I think people should have to earn the right to procreate. I don't believe in free will. We're all squishy robots in denial. I like to call it I can't believe it's not free will because it captures the experience and also is entertainingly ironic. Because no matter how you slice it I still have the mental experience of deciding what to have for lunch. Maybe that's an illusion, but it's about the strongest illusion out there. Children shouldn't play video games. They should be outside until dinner time, unsupervised. Video games aren't the problem. The problem is always allowing a child to do whatever they want for an unlimited amount of time. But yes, kids should be outside and unsupervised a lot more than they are. All drugs and substances should be legal. I have no problem with gays as such, but I find a large proportion of the gay men I meet to be rude, vain and stuck up. Don't worry, I am gay and find a large portion of them to be rude, vain and stuck up. Those qualities are clearly more tolerable if you want to have sex with them. I freaking hate cake. It does not taste good and I do not enjoy the spongy consistency. Finally, for so long I thought I was alone in thinking cake was like eating a sugar sponge. Caterpie is here to give you good luck with evolutions like this video in 2 seconds for luck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.